Okay, welcome back to the Nick and Joe Show, folks. This is Think Tank Radio Broadcast Center right here in the nation's capital city of Ottawa.
Nick.
He's Joseph. I'm Nick.
Think
and I've been
Radio.
making a mess of this.
Not Think Tank Radio.
Did I say Think Tank?
Yeah, this is Think Tank Radio.
Did I really?
You need to rehearse this, Nick. You need to write it out.
You know why I said Think Tank? Because that was the name of my very first radio show.
Oh, so the Alzheimer's is kicking in.
As a matter of fact, I forget who I am on a daily basis.
Anyway,
what's cool is I get to meet new friends every day.
So this is part 2, episode 126.
Yes, that much we do agree on.
So if you're just downloading this, if you're listening to this live, just ignore what I'm about to say. If you're listening to this on the podcast and you haven't heard part 1, you may want to go back and listen to part 1
because then part 2 will make more sense.
Okay. And we don't always do it that way.
No, we don't.
Because lots of times the different segments are totally different subjects,
completely,
but not today.
But we're not done yet.
Okay.
All right. So our guest in the studio is Stephanie McAvoy.
Hello.
She is I want to call you a political activist.
Yes.
I think that's an accurate assumption because you've been vocal and on the
yes.
in the activist scene
since 2015.
Yeah, that's right. I was trying to remember the year. So this is not new territory, but
No.
It is a new experience.
Correct.
Okay. So we were just talking about you encountering BLM and the nonsense that went on about it. I mean, they are about as brain dead an organization as I think I've ever seen. Your encounter with them didn't end when you were walking up the hill and they surrounded you on there trying to keep up on their skateboards.
Yes. So one of the girls came up quickly and I said I had the Canadian Black Lives Matter flag. I was wearing it like a cape.
Right.
And she reefed on it as if to rip it off me or to bring me to the ground. Now, my friend with me did put his arm out and she did let go. But it did, cut into my throat. I just kept marching up. So even though I'm only 5'2", I am very physically fit. And it's can be very misleading to people how much strength I have behind me. And I just kept plowing up the hill. I wanted to get to my friends. And I just knew over the years, these people, there would be no point in yelling at them. And my friend that was with me, he was awesome. You can hear him say, read a book. And the statistics, he was just saying simple phrases, to them, and none of them were inflammatory. It was vulgarities. They said, I'm going to burn your flag. I'm going to burn your flag. And I was just, let's have a coffee. Oh, I love you guys. I was just kept plowing up the hill, full force, even though I'm tiny. And I wanted to get to my friends. And once I came to the top of the hill so that I would have reached the center block lawn on Parliament Hill, the event planner position in the RCMP, him and I have talked many times over the years about rallies and what's allowed, what's not allowed. I always make sure that what I bring to the rally, whether it be a sign or whatever, is going to be appropriate and is okay. So he came right over to me and was, are you all right? Are you all right? And people, I know they can be outraged. Well, why wasn't there arrest? And do. The thing is, I've seen our law enforcement, and my mind almost can't even comprehend how they are treated by these different progressive groups. And there was something that happened with progressive leftist thinking that entered into our law enforcement agencies at some point, that they are no longer allowed to respond to vulgarities screamed right in their face. And I've seen what police officers and law enforcement experience is way worse than what I had done to me. and they are just told to grin and bear it. So I hope it shows a wake-up call. Like, it's easy for people to criticize when they're on the sofa, when they're looking, on their desktop in their home office. It's easy for you to criticize. Very easy. And these officers, I think that they do want to be there and help. I think that they are crippled, and I think it's very damaging to them, and I think it contributes to PTSD and to the suicides we see of Canadian law enforcement. It is not normal. It is not normal when you're entering law enforcement to allow people to verbally assault each other.
Now, when I said, because I was one of the ones being a little bit critical, I wasn't talking about the vulgarity. Look, you can call me anything you want. I don't care. I'm a big boy. I got a thick skin. But when you see a physical assault take place,
yes,
okay, that's what I was referring to.
Yes.
Like somebody who grabs that flag and
Yes.
tries to pull you down. That's an assault.
Yes.
So, boom, down, clamp on the handcuffs, and say you have the right to remain in the cruiser.
Yes. Now, I could pursue that, and the PPS guy, he said, do you want us to do something? Do you want to report? And I guess, it's easy for everyone to say, blah, 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 why don't you pursue it? It's like, I was kind of in shock.
Yeah. There's no criticism about you because, first of all, there's a lot of considerations when you want to press charges. The cost, the time involved, public exposure, all these different things like will they even show up? And even if they do, will our justice system see that justice is served? That if the evidence is there, they are convicted instead of just, a slap on the wrist and out the door they go to do it again. So I understand that. I just was, when I'm watching this, if I was a police officer and I saw that, it would be very difficult to hold back and not say, that's enough of that, down you go. And then, make the arrest. Even if they're released later, at least you diffuse the situation there because your job is to maintain public safety.
Yes.
Right? And enforce the law.
No, but it's different in Canada. It's not public safety. You understand there's a ribbon now going through our law enforcement of the primary focus is keep the peace.
Yeah, but
it's just keep the peace.
Yeah, but keeping the peace is public safety.
Not always.
So
they would have intervened on many different times with me or my friends. It's to just keep the peace. You don't want...
There's nothing peaceful
because
to
they
guys
know,
knocking heads.
they know that for the most part, the freedom-loving people, conservative people, right-leaning people, I think it's a real statement that the law enforcement, when things get super rowdy and they build a line with their bodies, they're always facing the leftist progressives. Their backs are to us always over the years. Always. When things get dicey, when there is a mass swarming, they always have their backs to us because they know we're restrained, and that speaks to it.
So, it just occurs to me in sort of an ironic sense that if what these protesters were alleging, and that is that that black protesters would be treated differently and more hostilely by the police. This is kind of their theme. They say that the police treat blacks differently than white people. So this is what they're alleging. So the fact that a white person could assault another white person and not immediately get arrested
puts the boots to that.
It's kind of like they were benefiting from their white privilege.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there was even a person of color, whatever
right.
in that crowd on
whatever
Saturday.
Whatever the way of describing people is.
Yeah, that's right.
That,
you pick your image. Now, you mentioned your flag, and I want to get back to that.
Yes.
You talked about you were wearing a
Canadian flag, black
with a
and
blue
white.
border.
Yeah, no, a thin blue line through it.
Oh, okay.
Thin blue line
So
through it.
what's that all about?
That represents that I support law enforcement. That's it. But now...
Well, since Black Lives Matter has made it pretty obvious they don't support it, they would see that as a flag that has to be destroyed.
Yes. Yeah. And that's... I didn't wear it straight out of my vehicle. I waited until I was with law enforcement, or with my friends. So there's two things I want to tell you. I had been at a rally 2 weeks before on Parliament Hill and had that flag on as a cape and had no problems. So I was able to wear it before on Parliament Hill without being attacked.
Was there a BLM protest at that time?
Not that time.
Not that time.
But just
was this a registered protest? Like, did they have a permit to be protesting?
Leftist progressives never have a permit.
Okay, so they weren't part of the protest. They didn't have any documentation.
No.
And hadn't registered.
They were just
as
there harassing
protesters.
people.
They just showed up.
Yes.
Okay. Now, because that's an important distinction. They
never do.
Well, they don't obey the law, so why would they care about this?
Yes. And over the years, it goes beyond Black Lives Matter rising up in the U.S. like they never have in the past either.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you had a heck of a day.
Yeah. And just one more thing about the flag, why I did want to have it at the gun rallies, because the OAC, the Order in Council gun ban, it also affects our law enforcement. And many people don't understand that, because law enforcement, when they're not in uniform, they don't have special privilege. So if they want training, if they want to develop more skill and be better at their job, even tactical, like special forces and those guys, they don't have special privilege. They would have to apply for an RPAL, so your acquisition, being able to have firearms as a civilian. They are required to go through everything the same. So the gun ban is affecting them. They cannot go spend their own money and own time to improve their own skill, because they have to follow the gun ban also. And people don't realize that.
And of course, the more practice and training they have, the safer the public is.
Yes, the safer we all are. And people don't, the media is not going to report this affects everyone's safety. And the law enforcement, they will not be able to improve their job skills anymore.
Okay, we're going to take a break right now. Take a quick pause for a commercial break. We'll be back in a minute or two here on the Nick and Joe Show on ThinkRadio.ca. Okay, welcome back to the Nick and Joe Show. I'm Joe, he's Nick, and Nick was going to bring us in, but he decided to hand it off to me
because I did it last time.
Because he did it last time and mangled it badly.
That's right.
At least that's his excuse.
And I'm sticking to it.
So we're in the studio with Stephanie McAvoy,